Hi, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec Podcast, where I'll help you create teams worth leading, because life's too short to lead a mediocre team. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, Tech Executive, Coach, and Consultant, and our subject today is getting help. This is something that I'm talking about right now, because I recently had the, misfortune or fortune to witness another person who at least has made a great step forward in that he knew that he could use help. He knew that something wasn't going well, and he was also brave enough to ask for help. However, he did not know how to ask for help in a way that actually resulted in any actual change. And this is what we're going to be covering, because it's not enough to just want to get help. You sometimes have to help people help you. This story is about someone who all in all, I think that, okay, he could be doing better, but he was doing certainly above average, which is like the type of situation that I personally prefer. I love working with people who are doing well, but just want to get even better, as opposed to putting out fires for people who can barely just scrape by. And he came up to his stakeholders and just said, hey, I think things are not going well. I need some help. I want to get better. And he was talking in a way that was so generic, not giving any actual details, making them worried about what was actually happening, because as far as they were concerned, things were looking okay from the outside. And then when he came like that, it just gave them that, as they felt like he just dropped a bomb on them. What ended up happening was that at the end of that discussion, the stakeholders were just worried, and they did not even understand what needed to happen. Like, what was he even asking them to do? What sort of help did he require? And even when they asked him, okay, well, what do you want? He did not have any clear reply. Now, when this happens, think about the stakeholders. Try to put yourself in their shoes for a second. They're looking at it from the outside. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know, when you, as the expert, as the one that actually understands the team, the situation, etc., comes and says, you come and say, things aren't working well. They're like, oh, really? Should we be worried? What's not working well? What do we need to do differently? Not a good thing, right? And I'll add to that when they ask you what you need to do, what do you want to do differently, and you don't have anything for them, they feel like, okay, what was that useless question about? Like, useless statement, I need help. Okay, well, help. What do you want us to do? Why do you even tell us if you don't know what ought to be done? And yeah, sometimes you don't. It's not like you're always supposed to have all the answers, of course. But when you're, think about the situation, and this is like the main lesson for this week's podcast here. Think about the situation. I always tell my clients that you have to have the other party's mindset in mind when you're speaking. That's how we do effective communication. You cannot just say what you think makes sense and be done with it. You're not talking with a compiler within, where I can just say exactly what I think needs to be said, and that's it. I know the compiler will understand because I said the right order of incantations, etc. No. When we're talking to our fellow human beings, sometimes we have to work a bit harder to construct a narrative, construct an explanation that they would understand, and we have to think about what they might be experiencing as they hear what we have to say. Will they get nervous? Will they get angry, surprised, etc.? I know it can be a bit much at times, but that's what communication is all about. Now, in that scenario, afterwards, when we're talking, I'm like, okay, let's think about it. What actually were you hoping to see differently? And this is when I work with my clients about, it doesn't have to be asking for help. It can be a lot of things that they're asking others in the company to do. Could be people reporting to them, could be peers, etc. I usually say, let's, for a second, imagine what change do you expect the conversation to have on the world? Think about the outcome first, because if you don't have any outcome in mind, it's very easy to go into a discussion and essentially get out of it not having done anything worthwhile or making things even worse. So What we want to do is to think about what are we trying to achieve. We have to be very concise here. We have to tell people what we want to get, even if, I don't know, you feel comfortable being so direct, as I know so many people are. That's often the only thing that makes sense. You have to come and say, what do you want to get? What is your ask, as people like saying nowadays. So, and with him, when he was asking for help, I was like, okay, you have to define what problems are. You can't just say things aren't going well. That's just so vague. You're gonna give people the itches. You need to tell me more specifically what's happening. Why do you think there's a problem? What's actually going well, so I know what I don't need to be worried about. Maybe it's the major parts. Okay, those are going well, so this is not an emergency, right? And you need to have at least some guidance around what you're asking them to do. You're saying you need help. What do you mean? Do you need, I don't know, some more guidance from the CEO? Do you want to have some more one-on-ones with your peers in product? Do you want to get a coach? Do you want, I don't know what, right? You need to tell us what do you have in mind, or give us some options, some general thinking. And when you do that, you're way more likely to not just, ask for help without causing any issues, but actually get that help. And that's what we want to do, right? If you're asking for help, I'm assuming it's because you want it. And I think that, yes, the hardest step for most people is just even registering that they need help or can benefit from help. It's not as if, things are going so bad, I have to get help. But seeing that they can get even better with some help, then speaking about it. But then don't think that you can just drop this on the team, on your boss, whatever, and everything's going to go smoothly. You have to take a couple more minutes and think about how you're going to be asking what you're asking. And that just might get you to have that thing you want, that extra help. And you'll be building a positive feedback loop because you'll be having this source of help and you'll be getting better. That's it. A short one this week, and I think it's a concise one that can help you a bit understand and debug how you're communicating and how crucial these micro conversations can be. Maybe you were just thinking, in my next one-on-one, I'm just going to say that maybe I need this or that. Maybe I want help. But if you don't think about how you're structuring your message, and again, this is not just about asking for help, structuring your message and thinking about the changes you want to see post-conversation are the number 1 and 2 tools we use in order to have effective communication going on, especially outside of tech. These things can really help you become a leader that can move things in the company and get what you need, get what you want, which is always a nice side benefit, right? That's it for this week. Thank you for joining me. As always, if you have any questions or comments about this, about other stuff, my email's in the show notes, and I'm always happy to hear and reply, so don't hesitate. If you haven't yet, do check out my newsletter. It's the best newsletter online for tech executives, where every week we have this podcast, a free article, a free video, and some other free goodies. The link is in the show notes as well. Did I mention it's free? And I'll see you here next week. Ciao.